boat classes get bigger and bigger, the athletes get bigger and bigger, they have physically more power. So you will start to see more aggressive strategies occurring because they're capable of laying down more aggressive strategies. Start sequences will carry them farther through the beginning of the race. So you might see higher rates through longer portions of the race because per stroke, they are traveling more distance per stroke than these smaller boat classes. You can see with their impulse as they drive the boat right along, it really just picks up the hull and sends it along a lot faster, a lot more aggressively than what we've seen out of the smaller boats.
Deerfield being very aggressive right now and trying to push out their lead a little bit more, gaining some ground over the PNRA Mercer boat, the Princeton boat right next to him, and also the Christian Brothers Academy boat that's on the lane on the opposite side. In the meantime, it's back to the Bainbridge Island boat, oars, and San Diego in the back, separated by a few meters of open water. But out front, the gold medal holders from last year, the Deerfield boat, really doing a job right now and pressing forward, trying to stay in front of the boat from PNRA Mercer and the Christian Brothers Academy, and doing a job, at least for now. As you said, Lindsay, they might have some power there. These boats have some power, and those things can change in a hurry.
You can see those top two holes separating themselves out, but when it comes to this race, this San Diego crew on the outside, hopefully their coxswain, David, I don't know what the coxswain would specifically necessarily be saying, but hopefully he or she is taking a look across at that lane 2 hull and working off of that hull to reel them back into what's happening in lane 5 here with Christian Brothers, knowing that Christian Brothers is still within earshot for them to be able to solidify that 3rd place spot for that coveted A final that we are going to see. And just as I say that, these two teams that came in from the time trial at 2nd and 3rd place by a very small margin, 1st and 3rd out of last year's Youth National Championships, are going stroke for stroke, trading leads right now, with Mercer starting to eat into that Deerfield lead a little bit more here.
Yeah, into the last 500, it has gotten closer. Deerfield just made a little push to get maybe a couple seats back. Mercer had brought it level. But with regard to the coxswains, you know, they're trying to see their speed relative to the other shells. So if you're in that lane 5 boat, San Diego, you're sitting in maybe like a 4th place position, and you know you've got to move up a place to move through to the A final. You're looking over probably, well, first of all, you're only looking over one way because you're in lane 6, so you can see everybody to your left. But you're probably looking at the boat at in lane 5 from Christian Brothers, and you're trying to make moves and let your crew know that they're closing the gap when those moves are occurring to try to motivate the athletes to continue to find the same speed. But you're seeing out front a really great match race here between these two boats, Deerfield and Mercer, out in front of the field and into the last 250 meters. And this match race that we're talking about has really pushed these two away from the rest of the field. Christian Brothers continuing in lane 5 to sit in 3rd place, but they may be starting to get tracked down by some of the other crews. You've got the Bainbridge Island and Oars crews up in lanes 1 and 2 really showing a push. So we'll see what happens for that 3rd spot, but it does look like up front it's going to be one of these two boats that have been back and forth. It's either Mercer or Deerfield.
Deerfield beginning to press and push harder on the oars right there to try to stay ahead of the PNRA boat, the Princeton Mercer boat right now. Princeton and Mercer, they're pushing hard too, and they really are battling bow ball to bow ball as they come down. In the meantime, it still is the Christian Brothers Academy holding on to 3rd, but out front, who will win this semifinal for the men's 4s as both the boat from Deerfield and PNRA Mercer come to the line? It looks like advantage to the Princeton boat, crossing just ahead of the boat from Deerfield. Here come the Christian Brothers Academy trying to make sure they are still in front of Oars over in lane 1, and they are. They captured the 3rd spot in the A final, and a very tight finish there between San Diego and the Bainbridge Island boat. But what a race there between Deerfield and PNRA Mercer. That will certainly shape up to be a battle in the A final when it comes around tomorrow, and we'll have to see the outcome of the when it comes to meet the winners of the A semifinal that just passed. I think those will be 6 boats that'll be quite competitive, and it will be really fun to watch.
Something that was interesting to see there in the strategies there at the end, quite honestly, from an athlete perspective, I can imagine that they probably cannot hear a word that the coxswain is saying at that point, because you could tell in that PNRA Mercer boat, that was sheer grit. They were going just on will and horsepower, whereas the Deerfield boat that they were able to sneak